You're listening to Family Today with Funmi Johnson.
Wow, this is another beautiful Friday morning, and welcome to Family Today with Funmi Johnson. Today is very different. I would like all of us to listen to a podcast that I also listen to. It's by Abiola Ifeoluwa. When we all listen through, we will now respond to it. Please join me.
Hello and welcome to my world. This is my story, and my name is Abiola Ifeoluwa. So today we're going to be talking about some things that happen in marriages. And I'm taking it from the perspective of a woman that I am. So I remember some years back, that there was this woman, was our neighbor, and something had happened. This was years back when I was very young. Something had happened between her and her husband, and I think he had told her not to go somewhere, maybe, I don't know what, but she went. So when she came back, he didn't fight, he didn't force. She just realized that after her children went to school, he locked her in her room. He went to work, the children had gone to work. I just know that in the afternoon when we all got back, the children went to the back, right, of the house and were giving their mother food from the window because the man had locked her in, held her as prisoner for disobeying him, as it were. And as a child, I was like, is this what marriage is supposed to be like? Are you supposed to be a warden? Are you supposed to be arresting your wife in your house or in both your house? Is she your prisoner that the children were now giving her food through the window and there was nothing she could do about it? She couldn't call, and that was it. When it was time and he came back at night, that was when he opened, so she couldn't even go to the toilet. That raised a lot of questions for me. Some years later, a friend of mine was telling me the story about a family in Ibadan. The man had gotten very old and he died in the room, and nobody knew. For days, nobody knew. Until later, when they hadn't seen him, I think neighbors, and they broke the door and they saw his dead body. It was already decomposing in the house. That was when, and he had children. He had he didn't have, his wife had passed. Now, what happened? I had to ask, what happened, Dongo? So this was what happened. This man had been a terror when he was much younger and the children were young. He used to terrorize the children and the wife and everything. He used to beat their mother. He beat her so much that she developed high blood pressure and she was now very ill. So it got to a point that the children were very upset. They were now adults and he was still beating her. As in, the children were now adults. They were much older, the parents. He had stopped working, he had retired. So the children just came and collected their mother and took her abroad with them, and she started living with them. And they left the man that he could sort himself out. I think the man at some point had actually married a younger wife, but that one fled. So he was now alone, and the children didn't pay attention to him. But the woman unfortunately died as a result of the illness that she had over time, So the children were further upset, thinking in their own minds that as far as they were concerned, it was their father that killed their mother. Maybe not directly shooting her, but contributed to her getting ill and then now dying as a result of that. So when this man was living alone, they didn't pay attention. They left him to sort himself out. So when he died, the pabambari of it all was that when he died, they did not come back to bury him. I was like, wow, that's hard. Recently, I was reading, there's this platform that I'm on. Yeah, everybody's on different platforms on WhatsApp, right? So I'm on this WhatsApp platform because I used to be a journalist. So I'm on, like 2 or 3 platforms that journalists are on. So there was a story about a man who was abandoned by his children and his wife. They had gotten to a stage where the children were now having children. So the wife was always traveling from one abroad to the other abroad, just generally enjoying her life in her late 60s, early 70s. Leaving the husband at home to fend for himself. According to the story in this on this platform, it was that, the man had been such a good man. He had brought up his family, his children very well, sent them to the best schools, done this and that. And now that the children are older, they're not taking care of him. They've left him all alone, and the wife had abandoned him. So I said, I don't agree. When men are younger, a lot that I have seen, and I'm not too old, but a lot that I've experienced, I've seen men treat their wives very badly. Because they're young, they have girlfriends, they have mistresses. I experienced it too. I saw it. My father did the same. So I saw it. You have girlfriends, mistresses, you treat your wife so bad. Your children are watching. You beat your wife. Your children are watching. Even the children are not spared. You beat them. You treat them anyhow. You're a terror in the house. When you come back, everybody jackpals to their different quarters. They can't sit with you. You have your daddy chair, your daddy cutlery, your daddy cup, your daddy everything that nobody dares touch in the house. You're a terror, basically. Now, but you're provided the best education for these children. You send them to the very best schools in Nigeria and abroad. You forget that these same children that you have terrorized and terrorize their mother, they're going to grow old. That's one. You yourself, you're going to grow old. And when you get old, I'll tell you a short thing about my dad and I. My dad was a very strict Ondo man, but he loved children very much, but not his own. I used to see how he relates with, other children. And I said, my dad is very charming. My dad is a very nice person, and he was also very generous. However, we didn't see that side of him at home. He was tough. He was tough, man. The first time I saw stars in my life, it was when my dad decked me, slapped me. I saw stars like this. I said, hey, so this thing is true. People used to see stars. But he was very generous person. And my father never hugged me. Never for one day. Well, neither did my mom. But my mom was softer person. So I was not much older. I was, I think, in the university. And a friend of his came to the house. And the friend, we were talking, and the friend said, oh, I should touch my dad. I should caress him. I said, from where to where? What comfort? Why am I touching him? He said, hold your dad now. I'm like, how? I can never forget that day because it was a strange thing. I don't know how my father felt. How now? The man was like a demigod. Do you understand? So you now want to go and touch God? How? We didn't have that relationship. What am I saying? When you're training your children, your own family, remember they're your children, but they're going to get older. If you create a distance between yourself and them when they were young, nobody is going to bridge that gap when they're old. The gap will remain forever. What you want is what you give. If you want love, you have to give love. If you want affection, you have to give affection. Even if you are paying millions of dollars in school fees, and buying clothes, and paying for the accommodation, and paying. Fatherhood is not about spending money. Anybody can spend money. Being a father, being a parent is being available, is being present, is listening to your children, is encouraging them, is helping them, is giving them comfort. I remember a father once said, he was, his son had been in a problem, right? And so he was facing some challenges at work. So it was affecting him, right? So the father now felt, he doesn't have time he doesn't have time. Let his mother handle that. Let his mother talk to him. I said, but you're his father now. If he has an issue, talk to him about it. As in, try and encourage him. Try and talk to him. You have experience and all that. Be a safe place for him. Say, no, I don't have time for that. If you don't have time for your son or your daughter, best believe they won't have time for you. Even if you paid all the money in the world for their education, when the time comes and you need that comfort, and you need that encouragement, and you need that affection and love and all that, and attention when you are old, you won't get it. What you don't sow, you can't reap. So when I read stories about fathers being neglected, like a friend of mine was fussing and, panting and getting upset that his children don't pay him attention. I said, excuse, did you pay them attention when they were children? Now that they are old, you are looking for attention, you won't get it. You have to start, thank God you still have younger children. Start paying attention to those ones. You see the ones that are old, forget. You can't get that attention because you didn't sow it. It's what you sow, you will reap. So, this woman, her husband has showed her shege metala, as in babanla. Now the Gen Z people call it shege pro max. So she felt that he had neglected her, was always standing in the way of her progress. Every time she wants to do something good, he will say no. He will obstruct it. He will disrupt it. He will not allow her to. She was not advancing. She was just in the same place. In that same place is where she was 20, 30 years later in the marriage, because he felt threatened by her growth. So it so happened that their daughter was going to get married. On the day of the wedding, they were all dressed up and about to go to church. And so she now said, Daddy, let's go now. It's time to go to church. And she went inside his room. The man was stone cold dead. He was dead. On wedding day of your daughter, what did the woman do? She didn't shout. She didn't say anything. She just walked out outside, locked the door, put the key inside her. Said, Niwa Bojo, you will not come and spoil the day of my celebration and honor. We will do our wedding. I will tell them you are sick, you could not make it. She was talking to herself. And she went, when there's a daddy there, daddy. So everyone came out local. Daddy is not feeling very well, let's go. So they went, did church, did reception, did everything. When she came back, took the key, open the door. Hey, ẹ gbà mí o. Hey, daddy. Meanwhile, the woman knew. So my question was, why did she do that? She just said, you know what? You have disrupted my life enough. If you are going to die, you'll die. Don't come and kill us that were still. Don't come and kill us that are still alive. It's the day of your daughter's wedding. You now decided to die. You didn't see last week. You didn't see last week to die. You didn't see last month to die. You didn't see last year to die. Is that today or no? You won't disrupt this one. So that was what happened. And why did she do that? It was on the back of the history that they shared. You will see that this was a woman who had been bitten, battered, disrupted, dismantled. Her life had been bitter. We should not sow bitter tears if we do not want to reap bitter tears. Thank you so much for joining me again on My Story in My World.
How did it go? That was some tough 3 stories. You know, the man locking the wife in the room, the woman that did not disclose about her husband's death, or that slap that could make your head spin. I will not talk about this until after the short break. We continue this conversation after the short break.
Paul says it is better for a single man to marry than to burn. Are you single, married, widowed, separated, or divorced? Join me on Family Today.
Family Today with Funmi Johnson is one program that will bring you in alignment with who you truly are and open your mind to how you rock your significant interpersonal relationships while sidestepping the landmines, culture, religion, and society have laid in your path. Family Today with Funmi Johnson goes where others are shy to go and shines the light in the dark corners others have forgotten. Tune in at 11:30 a.m. every Friday to listen to Family Today with Funmi Johnson on Inspiration 92.3 FM.
You are so welcome. I want us to look at that thing that we listened to, and I would give you my own thoughts. We've had a lot of responses and comments, and a man, for instance, responded to that podcast and said, I've been guilty of this. And I really want to commend that man. And if you're a man listening to me today and you think that you had made a mistake in thinking that the only provision you have to make is just probably pay school fees and house rent, you were not there, you were not present, you were not emotionally connected with your children, you can still make amends. What are the things you can do? First of all, call your son, call your daughter today and say, I love you. What else can you do? Hug them. What else? Let them sit with you. If you're one of those that have your sacred chair, why don't you ask your daughter or your son to sit with you on that chair and then hug and cuddle and talk? You will be shocked that the first time you do it, they'll cringe thinking something has happened, or is daddy going to die? But when you do it and you do it repeatedly, then they would understand that you're communicating, you're trying to say something. Someone will say you cannot give what you don't have. I understand. But now you have it. You have it because the world is saying to you, provision for a father is more than financial. We need presence. We need emotional support. We need understanding. And these children are clamoring for this. They are asking for this, and I want all men to listen to me. So there's a story of that man who said the children relocated abroad and he went to visit his son, and the son said, good afternoon, sir. You're welcome, sir. Excuse me, is your son a student? Are you the school principal? Where is good afternoon, daddy? Hey, hello, daddy. Welcome, daddy. So if your son is saying good afternoon, sir, to you, you need to check something is wrong. Something is definitely wrong. And when that same son sees the mom, he jumps, he dances, he hugs. That is how families are supposed to relate. And even if you're from a polygamous setting, where the man does not show affection openly, you need to do something, man. You need to show them fatherly affection, fatherly touch, fatherly love. Because if you don't do it, you will in turn be raising sons who will not be able to give it to their own children. I had the story of a young man who told me my father had never hugged me. I knew my mom hugged me, my mom cuddled me, my mom would always do things for me that made me feel emotionally regulated, emotionally touched. And when he got married, he realized for the first few years of his marriage, he was emotionally distant even to his wife, only connected with her in the other room. But other than that, it was just close the door, open, and the man having the final say. That is not the right way to do things. We need to change this. Let me tell you another story. There's a story of this man who was a money collector, Agbajo, and things weren't going too well because people were going to an economic crunch in the market. And he said to his wife, these children are not going to school. The children were 6 and 4. And the woman said, why would they not go to school? She said, because I can't afford it. Then the woman said, I will look for money. So she started cleaning, washing, doing small domestic chores so she could raise money to send the children to school. Then one day she came late from where she went and the man beat her blue black that you are disobeying me by going out of the house to go and work. I am the man of the house and what I have said is the children are not going to school. I want us to stop saying this man of the house who has the final say as if you are the commander-in-chief of the armed forces or you are the epitome of wisdom that every knowledge resides with you. The woman says even if they're going to learn a skill, it will be better for them if they are educated. Then it will be easier for them to scale what they have learned. And the woman was right. The man was wrong. The man insisted and said, if you go out again to work, then you're going out of this house. Ultimately, the woman left the house with the children. These are the kind of stories that we hear and we're talking about. I want you to respond. I want you to comment on this. And if you're a man, I want you to tell me what you would do differently, especially from this story. I want you to follow Abiola Ifeoluwa on our YouTube channel. She has all these stories she tells. They're true life stories. You will learn from it. And I want you to follow the Funmi Johnson on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, TikTok, all the social media platforms. The Funmi Johnson. Let's talk about what we can do to make the world a better place. And if you're a woman, you are in this kind of marriage where the man does not show affection, what can you do? My husband is a very loving man and he's hands-on. In fact, something happened recently. When we gave birth to our children, my husband was the expert baby carrier. And recently, one of our son's wife put to bed and he repeated the same cycle. He, as a grandpa, was carrying the baby and the father of the baby himself was carrying the baby in the style that my husband was carrying the baby. I felt so happy with myself, seeing that, the good thing that his father did, he is now repeating it. What am I trying to say? A lot of the things, the bad things that our men are doing, they were things they saw their fathers do. But what can we do to put a stop to it? One of the things we can do is what I'm doing right now, re-educating the men about their need in the house. Fathers, we need you. We need you to be physically present. We need you to be emotionally present. We need you to help with homework. We need you to do school runs. We need you to be involved in planning how the home will run. We need you to just stay with the children, sit on the carpet and watch a movie together. We need you to be, I'm looking at different things that men can do. Then the men are going to say to me, if we're going to do all that, where would we have the time to go out and make the money? The women need the money. The Yoruba say, owo lobìnrin mọ̀, owo la fi ṣọkọ obìnrin. I agree with you to some extent, but I would also differ with you. Yes, in those days. But now, the women are making the money. Can't you see? Can't you read in between the lines? So look at it this way. There's Jide and Janet that got married. Jide, good guy, was working in the bank. I mean, it wasn't even entry level, but at most probably was making maybe 8 million 10 million or so. But Jane was working in an oil company. So when they even give them their own upfront, the upfront she collects in the month of January is more than Jide's entire salary for the year. So she was like, you know what, why don't we do this? Let's save the upfront and use it for capital expenses. And then we now live on our salaries for the day-to-day things. Jide said to Fiakwa, Olomaje, how can it be? What do you mean by the capital expenses? That would be buying house now, buying land, so that what? So that your name will now be on the title and I will no longer be the man of the house. You see, what mentality are we talking about? This girl is earning like 50 million. You are earning like 10 billion. What are you going to do? Are you going to kill the MD of the bank for you to be able to move up and get the same amount your wife is? And then one day, Jide said to the wife, you travel too much. You are coming late. If this thing continues, then you would have to stop that work. Do you know why? Because for a man, if he is not the one putting the money down, then he sees himself as not providing. And I'm saying this to men. Provision is more than money. In fact, creating an enabling environment is the first provision that a man should make. An environment where the woman can thrive. For me, the best thing I want is a place where I can think. Because in thinking comes my strength. So if the atmosphere is toxic, I'm not able to think. You have killed me. But if the atmosphere is serene, I can hear God. I can think. I can create. I can innovate. I would love that man forever. So men, come, let's reason together. Come to my DM. Follow. Ask questions. I really am looking forward to questions from the men. If you're a woman, I want your comment too. I really want to know what we can do to change this situation. Someone said to me, don't go too far. Some women have made up their mind. The man must provide financially. I don't care if he doesn't do anything. Do you know that if you reduce provision of the man to just financial, the man may not be able to connect with his children and other people in the emotional space, and all human beings are emotional. So why don't we work together? Let's work the financial provision, the emotional provision, the presence provision. Let's work it together. That is necessary. This is Family Today with Funmi Johnson, and I'm particular about us creating the right atmosphere in the marriage so that both male and female can thrive. Now, the next question someone is asking me is the woman not supposed to be the helpmate? So if the man is not showing emotional presence, that the woman should help the man to provide that emotional presence. How? Is it the woman that has just been beaten? That same man is not providing that emotional presence to his wife. So he may need an external support, and that is where I come in. I want to support you. Oh men, listen to me. God wants you to be present in the life of your wife and children. God wants you to be a listener. God wants you to be supportive emotionally. You need to, and if you're struggling financially, it may just mean that things have changed economically. Maybe you're in a sector that is no longer thriving. Maybe you need to change your skill set. Maybe you need to, change your industry. Okay, we need to, and then it is not compulsory that you must have more money than your wife. And in the event where your wife has more money, what should you do? Let's talk about it, because it's not the end of the world. And also, there's no way it is written that the man must make more money than his wife. I know we can't conclude this conversation, but let's see what happens same time next week. Remember, follow the Funmi Johnson. God bless you.
Family Today with Funmi Johnson is powered by the Capstone Church Without Walls.